Hello, and welcome back to Life Unscripted with Shavone. I hope this day has been nothing short of amazing for you and it has greeted you with a smile. So, today we're going to dream big, start now, and exploring career paths, right? So, welcome. Welcome everyone to Dream Big, Start Now, Exploring Career Paths. Today we're starting an exciting journey together, a journey to imagine, create, and pursue the career that aligns with your dreams and aspirations. This presentation is all about unlocking your potential and realizing that the possibilities are endless. Together, we'll explore the steps that turn big dreams into meaningful realities. So let's begin. So, first, why start thinking about your career path now? If you're just starting out in school, let's say you just graduated high school, and you're like, this is my first semester in college. What am I doing? What do you mean career paths now, right? Or let's say if you all you've done is worked. All you've done is worked and that was it, and then this is your first semester in school. You have some level of working experience, but yeah, you're just like, I don't understand this. Don't worry, a lot of this applies to you as well. My main target for this discussion today is going to be my freshmen. It's going to be my high school students that are just getting out of high school, going into college, and you are either in your first year as a freshman or you're going to be a freshman in the up and coming fall or perhaps spring, because some individuals start in spring, right? So, for anyone else, feel free to still stick by and listen because there are some jewels that you can gain as well. But I will do a follow up for my other individuals who have the career experience, right? But for now, let me talk to my high school graduates, class of 2025, as well as my current freshmen in college, right? So, the power of early career exploration, right? There are three components that we're going to talk about now. One is gain direction early. Understanding your interests now helps you choose classes and extracurriculars that align with your potential, right? Specifically, your career potential paths, right? So, what does that mean? That means that, let's say, you graduated high school and now you're in your first year of college. What happens now? You want to start to gather all of the information that you have with regards to what you're majoring in, let's say. And as we discussed in one of my previous videos, you want to start to map that out, right? That's why it's important to speak to your academic advisor and to start to figure all those things out. This actually goes hand in hand with that because what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're still on the path that you're interested in, right? You don't want to wait until like you're about to graduate and say, I hated this. I don't want to do this anymore. And you're about to graduate and you're just frustrated. If you can, because honestly, that does happen and that's okay. You can pivot with that as well, right? But if you're at a place where you're still in the early stages of this, then it's a great time to explore what you really want to do, right? So aligning your potential with your career path is important because it can save you a lot of time just trying to try classes and not necessarily like them, knowing full well that you were staying in that class and you wasn't interested in it. That's one of the reasons why, as I said before, you want to pay attention to your academic calendar for school because you want to know if you do have to drop a class, what does that look like? What is that deadline for that class for that semester for you to drop? So those little jewels are super important. And as I said, or keep saying throughout some of my presentations, is that there are things that I'm going to be repeating because I really want you to understand the importance of it. And yes, academic calendars are one of them. So next is build meaningful experiences. Participate in activities, clubs, internships that offer real world insight into fields you may pursue. So, what does that mean? That means that it's important to build these relationships and experiences, right? They could come in many forms. It could come in going out and having an activity in the field that you're interested in or in your career path, whatever you're majoring in. Let's say right now you're majoring in art, right? If they're having an art gala event that you're interested in, it's a great idea to see what that looks like for you. If it was me and it was an art gala, even if it, let's say, if your interest is in sculpting, right? But this is water paint, I would still go because you never know who's going to be there. It's super potential. It's so important to go because there are possibilities that, let's say you're there, you're looking at all of the art on the wall and everything like that, and little do you know that someone in a room is actually into sculpting as well and could actually lead to a potential volunteer opportunity, to an internship, or to an actual job, you know? So you never know where something can take you. It's the same when it comes to clubs. As I said in one of my previous presentations, try to join those. If you have time, join that in school club that you have, especially if this is your first semester and you're a freshman in college. Now, as you continue to grow up and go to that next phase in your life, start to mingle and join good things like a club that will help you as far as like whether it's your interest or if it's actually your major or your minor, let's say. These little things can lead to so many opportunities. Same thing with, of course, internships. Internships are super important. I would say, even if your degree program does not have a mandatory component for you to take an internship, I highly recommend finding out where the extra hours that you have throughout the day, throughout the week, to where you can actually fit in an actual internship. Some internships are super flexible. You can do an internship for like 3 hours out of the week, or 3 hours a day, or 3 hours 3 times a week. You know, depending on your schedule. Because as an intern, the employer knows that okay, you're in school, you're bettering yourself. This is just an aspect of it. Sometimes, if you don't get paid for it, they do offer credits. It's not always, I can't say that, oh, go do an internship, you're definitely going to get credits. And those credits oftentimes don't lead to being added to your degree program. So that's something that concerns you. That's something that you want to find out if it is an option for you. Feel free to ask any questions or anything like that if you have any with regards to that. But participate in activities, clubs, and internships that offer real world insight into fields that you may pursue. Also, increase academic motivation. When you know your why, your coursework and campus experience feels more purposeful. It feels like you are actually doing something that you really love, right? For example, with myself, I remember, as I've said also in one of my other videos, that I started out in early childhood in my undergrad, right? And I realized early on that I didn't want to do it. So I did it for one semester and then I changed my major and moved into liberal arts because I wanted to deal with taking my core requirements, the sciences, the arts, the maths, all those things. So once I was finished with those first 2 years, I could just go into what it is that I wanted to do. So I also took my own advice in that sense of still figuring it out. I mean, I took everything from walk, jog, run to art to dance to so many different things to science. I realized that, yeah, it confirmed I didn't necessarily like science, but I took a psychology class. And that general psychology, which was like the first psychology class in for undergrad, I took that and I noticed that I really enjoyed it. And that led to taking abnormal psychology. That led to taking child psychology. And it just continued to where I pivoted from that and I went into other things, but it always drew me back to that. Or there were always certain levels of things that I would do when it came to this type of work, to helping others, right? So it's really great to actually just explore, I would say, right? So, having said that, why start thinking about your career now? Because this journey started early will empower you to shape a future with purpose and clarity. Career exploration is more than just a job. It's a journey of self-discovery. Imagine understanding your own why so deeply that it guides you each choice you make, from classes to activities, building a path that makes sense for you. Every small decision, every experience will become part of that story filled with meaning and purpose. And for what it's worth, let's be honest, right? Because the world is not rose colored. So that means that, yeah, you're saying, hey, Shavone, you're saying that it's going to lead to meaning and purpose. That's not always the case. But you know what? Why not try? Why not try and, let's say, fail, right? And then get back up, right? Learn from that experience of failure. Learn from, if you were in a degree program, as I had said before, and let's say you didn't know these things that I'm basically going over right now. You didn't know that you can drop your and change your major. You didn't know that you can get out of a course at a certain time in the school year and all these things, right? So you've been doing it, right? And you feel like, oh, I don't know what's going on in my life. I'm not happy. I'm in this degree. Let me just finish it, so on and so forth. That's why it's important to sit down with an advisor, someone within the school that has that level of knowledge for you, to figure out what your options are, okay? I don't want you to sit there and feel sorry for yourself at all. I want you to help yourself. I want you, if you need to go and talk about it with your therapist, that's fine, to your priest, or go somewhere, right? That's fine. If you go to one of these clubs that I'm referring to and just have a conversation with your classmates, because sometimes that helps as well. Sometimes you'll meet someone and they're like, oh, I'm just so miserable in this class. And they're like, yeah, I'm miserable too. And then you just bond over that. Because truth be told, while we're discovering this and finding the purpose, please believe there are classes oftentimes in your major that at the end of the day you're just not gonna like, right? If you don't like math and math is a part of your degree, it's gonna be a part of your degree. But that's not to say while you're checking that box off, because it's a requirement. Sometimes we have to do what we need to do and what we have to do before we can do the things that we want to do. That doesn't mean you can't still be planning on the back end or looking forward to doing the things that you want to do. So we want to get to that place, right? Let's continue. So I want you to do something. I want you to list your interests, right? So I want you to take out a piece of paper and list your interests. Identify classes, clubs, and activities that have sparked curiosity and passion for you, right? Start to get an idea. You know that math class, because we can do the things that you don't like too. You know that math class wasn't the best. It's okay. We can put that on the list of the things that we didn't necessarily vibe with and care about. But I want you to also have that list of things that brings you joy, that list of things that you're like, you know what? I took anthropology and I was so surprised that I actually enjoyed that class and all the things that came with it. I'm going to add that to that list, so you can start to formulate what your career path is looking like now, because those little things matter. Same thing with these clubs. You're into history and there's a workshop on history that's coming up, right? You want to write that down. Put the date. Oh, this is coming up on December 15th. I'm interested in it. Something I might want to explore. You could potentially go there and then exit out. Write it off that list because you've come to find out you didn't like it, right? Or maybe you write it in pen and you really enjoyed it, and that leads to more clubs and activities that you're interested in, right? We want to start to get an idea of what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, including potential places that you want to work. I want you to make on that list, in addition to identifying your classes, your clubs, your activities that spark the curiosity and the passion. I want you to have another list on that paper for your top 5 places that, if you could, would be your potential place that you would dream to work at. What does that look like for you? What kind of place of employment is that? What kind of agency? Is it a business? Is it a hospital, right? What are you doing there? What do you see yourself doing? How does that look like for you? What potential position are you in, would you say? What are the requirements for that position? Let's start to like really think of that, because that also ties into this career that you're pursuing when it comes to school, that degree that you're pursuing, right? That can absolutely tie into that. That can absolutely save you some time if we start to think about these things critically in these stages, right? I want you to imagine your ideal work environment, as I just noted. Consider the setting where you see yourself thriving, albeit collaborative, structured, or independent. So, what does that mean? That means, speaking for myself, I'm kind of like an introvert extrovert. I always say, like, I prefer to just be alone a lot of times. Sometimes, if I'm in like an environment that's just overwhelming and loud and all these things, I kind of need to go to another room where it's kind of quiet just to gather my thoughts. If you're that type of person, then you're kind of like independent, right? You're kind of like, I want to just sit and do my work and that's it. And you can focus more, right? But I have friends that are both introvert and extrovert, and some of my extroverted friends are like, no, I need to be with community. I need to be with other people in the room and interact and figure out what they think about such and such that we're working on and collaborate, right? Or you could be another individual who believes in a structured environment, who needs to do checks and balances all the time, who needs to recheck their work to make sure that, oh yeah, did I miss that? Let me just go back over that one more time, right? Start to figure out what that looks like for you, because that can also play into that type of environment that you're thinking about. Perfect example. If I'm someone, I am like an introvert and I know that, too much of a lot of people is too much for me. I'm not gonna go and uh, find a job at Yankee Stadium, right? Like, I'm not gonna be in an environment that will trigger something to where I'm not gonna be happy, right? So that's why these like little lists and conversations that we're having matter. Define your impact. Reflect on the kind of work that would bring you a sense of fulfillment and purpose. That's super important, because that's why I said to write down those businesses, right? And as you look into them, look at their websites, get an idea of what the business is about. You can look online. Sometimes YouTube, they have, information on different businesses, or you could just Google the actual place of employment and see what comes up, because a lot of times there are employees that are actually talking about places they used to work and give you an idea of what it looks like. And also, don't be afraid to even reach out to the human resources, depending on how bad or how much you are interested in it. Reach out to the human resources and say, hi, I'm such and such, and I'm going to such and such school, and I'm doing a research project, right? Because you're a student. And I just had a couple of questions with regards to working there. I would say, like I said in one of my previous videos, just make sure if you're going to do something like that, you want to come to the table knowing what you're doing. You want to come to the table with the questions. You don't want to start picking from a hat or like just freestyling while you're there. You want to actually come to the table with the questions that you want. And then from there, you'll figure out, oh, she covered that. I'm not going to ask that next question. Or, oh, she do that, asking that question and her answering it. I realize that I have another question, right? And make sure you have pen and paper. Always be ready. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready, okay? So now let's take a moment to reflect. What drives you? What lights you up inside? These are powerful questions that don't always have easy answers, right? But they are the heart of this journey. Think about what fascinates you and the activities that pull you in. Picture yourself in a space where you feel like you belong, doing work that fills you with pride and purpose. Imagine the impact that would have, right? Imagine the impact you want it to have. This is where you start to define what success looks like for you in your own way. I want you to think about that, okay, as we continue. Now, exploring career options related to your college experience. Let's connect those academic interests to real world careers, right? Let's identify career paths from your courses, something that we just spoke about. Explore careers related to subjects you enjoy, like psychology, environmental sciences, or marketing. If your thing is art, like I said before, or let's say biology, you want to identify that. You want to check that off. You want to include that in that list that we just talked about, right? And identify that career path. What does that look like? Let's say if you needed a backup plan, because that's equally as important. If you needed a backup plan, what would that look like for you? I would include that as well. Seek guidance from career centers. Spoke about that before too. The importance of like pursuing and actually going out and seeing what's on your campus, what services they offer, because technically they're free. You're a student, right? So you want to go to your career service center, right? You want to have those conversations. See if they have like a possibility for you to do some internship if they have connections to a job that you're interested in or a volunteer opportunity, right? You want to seek guidance from these places because they are there for that reason to help you. And they also offer assessments, right? Oftentimes, you can take advantage of resources like career assessments and counseling to gain insight into potential fields. You never know. I used to love to take these assessments, but I'm kind of in the psychology field. I don't know if that's the reason why, or I was just like into that stuff. But yes, I found it super interesting, even if it was something that was like off the wall, right? Like I remember one time it had told me that I was an extrovert, and at that time I was like, even I was more quiet than I am now or what have you as an adult. And I was like, really? Like it didn't make sense. Sometimes these things are like laughable, right? But they're fun. It's interesting to explore because it will put it into your mind that, maybe there's some truth in that. Maybe I should look into that and see if it's interesting. Attend career related events, right? You want to network. Participate in workshops and networking events to broaden your understanding of different professions. Super important because, as I said, there are multiple times when we have to pivot in life, right? So it's very possible that you can do something and not like it and then pivot to something else, right? But attending these career related events can help you figure out what that picture is starting to look like. It's like having a blank canvas and then painting on it, right? Sometimes we got to start over. We need a new canvas paper. That's okay. But let's utilize what we have, right? Let's utilize our resources that we have. These are things that you can find out from your school as far as like what events that they're having on the campus and everything. As you move through college, every class you take, every interest you discover becomes an opportunity to connect with real world careers. Your academic interests are more than just requirements, they're invitations to explore new paths. You love psychology? Picture yourself helping others. Drawn to environmental science? You might be a force for positive change in our world. And college resources, from career assessments to networking events, are here to open doors you may have never known that or even considered, right? Or maybe you just didn't know about these resources, right? Until now, who knows? Let each experience broaden your view of what is possible, okay? Now, let's go and test some waters, right? So test the waters of internships, volunteering, and campus activities like I was talking about earlier, because you can gain real world experience. Try out different roles, participate in internships, volunteer positions, or even clubs to gain hands on experiences in fields of interest, as we've been saying, right? Develop skills and build a network. Practical experiences provide valuable skills and a network of connections within your area of interest. And most importantly, or at least one of the important things I want to talk about today, is challenge yourself. Engage in new activities. This semester, I want you to align yourself with a potential career interest. Take those 5 things that you wrote down, those 5 businesses. See what that looks like. Have your list of like interests of classes you're taking and all these things. What is it looking like for you? What does it look like where you're going? That semester, I want you to write down on the end of that paper, specifically when this semester is over, or after you've seen this and your semester is close to end, or even like, you know, closer to, I would say, after midterms, after getting all that stress and stuff out. Look at how things are feeling. You're going to be, if it's after midterms and finals, you're going to be stressed out. Like, I'm over it. I don't even want to talk about that. But after you've digressed and you've had a moment to exhale, What does that look like for you? How is it aligning for you? And like really evaluate that. Okay. The best way to discover your potential career is to experience it. It's to dive into internships, volunteer roles, and campus activities. When you test the waters, you're not only building skills, but creating a network of mentors and peers who can guide and support you, okay? So challenge yourself to step into new experiences, embrace a role, try something new. Each experience will bring you a new layer of clarity about what you want and where you are heading. And you just never know who you're going to meet, right? Like I said, you can go to an art show and you can meet that person that's going to offer you that job or that internship or what have you, right? So closing thoughts. Charting your unique career path. I want you to embrace exploration, right? Career discovery is a discovery to take steps now to explore what excites you. Small steps lead to big outcomes. Each experience, big or small, brings you closer to understanding your career interests, right? I want you to challenge yourself for this semester. Choose one career related activity, as I said before, and engage with it to start your journey onto your purpose, to start to figure that out, because no one expects you to like figure life out. Like we're all still just figuring it out, right? And as you get older, you'll see that things change sometimes. So that happens. But we're talking about now. We're talking about that blank canvas that you're creating, right? What does that look like for you? What do you want it to look like for you, right? So as we wrap up, remember that career discovery is a journey. You don't need to get everything right the first time. It's about exploring, growing, and learning with every step. Every small choice, every experience brings you closer to a path that feels authentic and exciting. So here's my challenge for you this semester. Choose one activity that connects you to your goals and engage with it fully. Embrace this journey with a curious heart and an open mind. You have the power to create your future that's all of your own, okay? And I cannot wait to see where it takes you. Feel free to send me a message or you can email me at lifeunscriptedwithshavone@gmail.com if you have any questions or what your thoughts are. If you want to send me your list, send me the ideas that you have about those 5 places of employment you're interested in. I would love to hear it, albeit if you want to like message it to me or if you just want to put it in a comment section. Until then, until the next time, be safe and take care of yourself. Okay? Be kind. Good vibes only. Have a good day.